want to hit. Okay. Oop. Okay. So, psychology is a science. Experiments can illustrate behavior principles that can help explain everyday behaviors. These are kind of the principles as far as why you want to think of psychology as a science, and why you want to use psychology rather than your intuition that causes problems like hindsight bias and overconfidence. So in this case, experiments can actually illustrate the behaviors that you can use to explain everyday behaviors. Now, what you have to be careful about is that experiments can only go so far, okay? Because you can say that within that particular test subject that this happened, okay? But you cannot necessarily generalize it to the entire population. Okay, behaviors are different between cultures and genders, but some things stay the same. There are specific behaviors that are more apt to happen when you're talking about a particular culture. For example, if you're talking about a particular culture like an Indian culture, like from actual India, or if you're talking about a more Anglo-Saxon approach, or for example, I just saw on Facebook, one of my friends had posted a picture of her kids the day before the first day of school, and she had this paper cone with stuff in it. I can't remember what she called it. But somebody posted back saying, okay, what is this? And she was saying she called it something, and the kids got this, and she was saying, oh yeah, they got it early because it was before the first day of school. And it was like, what is this? I have to look it up what it's called. But she said it's a German tradition where you are basically get this cone full of kind of like school supplies. And somebody posted that it's kind of like Santa Claus and a stocking full of presents. Instead of a stocking full of presents, it was like a thing full of school supplies. So like pencils and pens, paper and that kind of a thing. But that's a behavior that's a result of her culture and her German heritage. Now, I'm part German, but I've never heard of that. I don't know. Okay? There's also behaviors that are much more common with men versus women. Okay? When we get to differences in genders, you'll find that it's interesting because there's differences as far as the way men approach things versus the way females approach things. Okay? But also there's generalizations across the board. Okay, so I have this one. It says international arrivals, and it says, what do I do now? It says all of these different people have all these different cultures. So this guy at the front of the line says, what do I do now? The next guy is obviously of Asian descent, and he says, when is he going to take my card? He's like bowing and offering his card as his business leader. And the next person in line says, he seems a bit unfriendly. And she's like one of those close talkers. There's, different cultures have different personal space. Have you ever noticed that? Where there's some people that will get up right into your face and be talking to you like this. You're like, whoa, sit back. So that lady is obviously a close talker. And the next person in line says, whoa, personal space invasion. And then the last person in line says, I'm next. What should I do? He's got his hands together and he's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And they're all supposed to be meeting this business person, and they all have different cultures that they come from, and so they all have different behaviors. And they talk about, it's commonplace in some parts of the world where you do not shake hands. You do not do that. It is insulting. You do not shake hands. Okay? So that's not something that is similar across cultures. Okay? However, things like showing that you are, agreeable, smiling is universal across all cultures. Okay? A smile is a smile is a smile. It shows that you are agreeable, you're happy about something. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say here is that you can't universally say something across the whole cultures or all genders for some things, but other things you can't. All right, and Okay, I'm going to get to the picture in a minute. I have it out of order. Okay, animal testing is helpful. Okay, now I know there are some people who would really not like to test on animals. However, animal testing is helpful because we are animals ourselves. As human beings, we are animals. And there are some basic functions that we have that are similar to animals. But if you think about it, the pain and stress, putting pain and stress on animals is not helpful in an experiment. Because if you think about it, if you're trying to demonstrate something that would be likely to a human, okay, you would not want pain and stress because obviously that's something you want to avoid when you're dealing with humans anyways, okay? Now, you can argue the whole impact of, how they treat their animals and things like that, and that is something that a lot of people debate, okay? The other side of things is that people talk about the ethics involved not only in animal testing, but also in human testing. So, experiments on people are guided by ethical principles. In the United States, we have the American Psychological Association. In European countries, they have similar associations that have ethical principles when conducting research. Not only some of them have it with animal testing, some of them they all have it with people. Okay, so they have ethical principles as to what you can and cannot do. Okay, now. When talking about ethics within research, okay? And I was trying to find a specific listing of what the APA's ethical research is. But this guy over in the corner over here that I have a picture of on the far left, his name is Stanley Milgram. Anybody ever heard of the Milgram experiment? I think I mentioned it before briefly. Have you heard of it? No? Okay. Stanley Milgram is a case of ethical principles. Okay. Now, I used to have access to the actual Stanley Milgram experiment, which happened in the 60s, and it was very controversial. But I don't have. It was a case of that I got to borrow it on loan from another teacher, and I had to give it back, and she had to send it away. But what I did find is that, believe it or not, there is a British reality television show that recreated the Milgram experiment. So I have a clip of that I wanted to show you. And then we'll discuss the whole ethics behind it. So pay attention to this from the ethical principle standpoint, but also the research itself. How else could he have done this without other than the way he did? Okay, so this actually does a really good job of